Hi, everyone. Welcome to the publicly streamed infrastructure group conversation on today, the 8th of November, 2022. My name is Liam. I'm an engineering manager in the scalability group in infrastructure, and I'll be today's host for the meeting. As usual, you can find the key review agenda and today's slide deck linked from the group conversation agenda. Myself and the rest of the team are available to answer any questions that you have. So please add to the agenda or raise your hand.
Hi, Liam. As a way to get things started, I'm curious if there's anything you'd like to highlight from the slide deck.
Yeah, so from myself personally, I think the one thing I imagined everyone would kind of notice immediately was the 100% availability that we had in October, which is great to see. I was speaking with Bob in scalability about this yesterday, I think, and he kind of said that error budgets are there to be spent. So 100%, it's a good thing, but also, there is room for us to maybe push things further. But no, that's always nice to see. And it's a culmination, I guess, of lots of hard work that's been happening in various different angles across engineering and beyond for quite a long time. So that's something that jumped out to me. I don't know if anyone else from infrastructure has any opinions.
I think as far as opinions or things to add, I just would like to add the thanks to everyone's effort that has gone into over the last year or more improving the reliability for .com, and certainly our work is not done; it needs to continue. But I mean, it is great to get to the point where not only a good result last month, but also for a number of consecutive months. I know in August we had a little dip there, but last month was not an anomaly, and it also isn't inconsistent with what our users are sharing, our customers are sharing as far as what their expectations are. If we had a misalignment and had a lot of customers complaining about the reliability of GitLab.com right now and had displayed 100% availability, that would be a mismatch, but we don't have that. And so it's good to have it actually represent what our users are experiencing. So thanks everyone for everyone's contribution.
Awesome. Congratulations, everyone, and thanks for sharing, Liam.
Any other questions from anyone?
One thing I'll just throw out there is on slide 11, we have quite a bit of hiring going on. Let's see. Not sure who needs to be muted there, but I do want to mention that we have a lot of hiring going on, and I know that we probably all have contacts in our lives and everything of people who are excited to would be excited to join us, and those that may also need a new place to land or anything. So if you think through all of your contacts and keep an eye out there, we're hiring back-end engineers and site reliability engineers, and definitely need them to come join the team and help us create new results.
John, did I see you unmute? Did you have another question? Or
yeah, I suppose I can ask another question. So I see you have on slide 8 that you'll be introducing some new standing squads, and I'm just I guess I'm just curious, like, how do you decide like where you need these standing squads, or like which parts of the infrastructure team needs these?
Alan, is that a question best directed at yourself?
Yeah, I think it's based on kind of where the amount of maintenance is and where the demand for work is. We're looking at that as a kind of a variable thing for this quarter. And going forward, we're looking at how do we wrap some more fixed capacity and some more ownership around those various services to consume them. I'm hoping to start getting some information about that out there in the next few weeks. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Perfect. Sean, would you like to verbalize your question?
Yeah, sure. Just wanted to congratulations on the first month with 100% availability. I know this is a very difficult question, but what would you say is a #1 contributor to this metric? I've had a lot of customers that not email me anymore, which is great, and they're happy. So I just wanted to know, like, if there was something we could share with them about how we got here.
That's a great question. I think Steve maybe covered some of that in terms of what he answered earlier in the call. I think from my perspective, there's lots of small changes that have happened consistently over the past year and beyond, which have just led to stability. And I think October was a particularly good month where we've been able to hit that benchmark, and hopefully we'll be able to hit a lot more going forwards. I don't know if there's I don't know, should I say anything more exciting than that? Steve, Alan, anyone else? I don't know if you've got something to add.
Yeah, I was going to see if someone else jumped in, but there's certainly, I mean, the way that I would think about it is a combination of a lot of consistent effort around, smaller issues, and it kind of pains me a little bit to call them smaller issues because some of them are, were not really small. They were pretty large things to go through that really were tackled around corrective actions, which are items that we identify whenever something goes wrong that we need to come back and fix. And so a continuous amount of work on basically clearing out a backlog of the highest severity or priority corrective action items. Along with that, across engineering, especially in all of the development groups, there was also a burn down of a backlog of high severity infradev issues. So within each one of the stage groups, a priority being put on and great work being done in closing those out. And then there were also some large changes. So recently, it seems like yesterday, but I guess it has been a little bit, but like the completion of the CID composition project was a huge change as far as the overall kind of scalability of .com. And then going forward, we've got to continue working on that. There's efforts underway on in FY24, how we'll look to add further kind of horizontal scalability to GitLab.com. So we need to continue working on both those big things and the small things.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I can say it's helped me do my job easier, better, faster without having to respond to all that. So it's been really helpful. So I appreciate all the work from everybody.
Next question is also on the topic of availability. Stephen or Stefan, would you like to verbalize?
Absolutely, yeah. I was just curious. I've run into this problem at a couple of companies before, and although this is not something anyone is pressuring me to do, one of my team right now is in beta working on the suggested reviewer feature, and a lot of our discussion is being held around how many errors we're returning, what is our projected error budget utilization, all these sort of things, and it's sort of being framed in this way. And I realized there is an inherent, if you could think about it from an economic standpoint, there's an inherent incentive to send fewer errors so that it looks better. And what is our mechanism, which engineers are min-max kind of people, so what is our mechanism to get around the inherent incentive to like buff the number, if you will, which sounds horrible, I realize, but I've seen it done before. So I was curious What is the mechanism to get around this implicit incentive? Because like if something falls over internally in like a microservice somewhere, but the actual API between GitLab and that entire set of microservices is not impacted, it looks great. But if that error were to trickle out, that looks bad, you know, from the perspective of the error budget being eaten. What is the company or the infrastructure group's thoughts around how we combat this implicit minima?
So I have the first comment here in response to that, and this, I was actually thinking this earlier when someone else said, let's shoot for 100% availability. That is not what reliability shoots for. It should not be what reliability shoots for. We shoot for 395, and the rest is for error budgets, right? That is specifically there so that developers aren't incentivized to make their numbers look perfect, because the reality is that perfection is not realistic.
Yeah,
Steve, do you want to verbalize?
Yeah, I'll finish typing in a minute. Thank you. And I think it's also important to note that there are different SLO thresholds for the metrics that go towards the availability result number versus the by stage configurable SLO numbers for the error budget, because totally agree with Annalisa. Like the error budget there is there to be spent and to be used to to increase velocity where the error budget is green and meeting the goals, and also to kind of ratchet up the that SLO over time. The availability, on the other hand, we want the availability to be certainly a lot more consistent from a customer perspective, because it's written into contractual agreements. It has implications on revenue recognition, those sorts of things that are really well, of course, are important to us. And the availability metric should reflect what our customers expect from the service. And to a certain degree, it shouldn't necessarily reflect much more than that, because what we should be delivering to customers is what they need to effectively do their job. And and if they if they're able to effectively run their business, for example, on something that has a 1 second SLO, there's a question of like, well, should we make that be 200 milliseconds and instead of 1 second? Maybe not. I mean, that might be a good place for us to invest our money, but maybe we should, if that's allowing our customers to be successful, that's the limit that we should leave it at, and instead of just always opting for the faster car, moving the bar up for customers at the risk of of not meeting a contractual agreement or something like that. So I just wanted to like make sure that we're also looking at it from the perspective of there are two different measurements that are being created.
Sherry, I think you had something to add to that.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about the statement of trying to decide what's an error and what's not an error. You can be available and have errors as long as you're handling those errors properly. And that is the expected behavior. So if you try to do something that you shouldn't, then you should get an error, but that is, the application is still available. Error budgets may be a misnomer, but it really reflects when the application is not behaving the way you expected it to behave. So on the one hand, I'm kind of curious about which decisions you're trying to make. And on the other hand, I reach out to people in infra, myself included, and I'd love to be a part of that conversation, because the context of the decision you're trying to make is not clear to me at all as it relates to error budgets.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I might read a chat to you and we can chat about that offline, or here, whichever is better. Preferences?
Just
sure.
Book something on my calendar and I'll be happy to sit down.
Perfect. Thanks for that question. Any other questions from anyone? I can't see anything else on the agenda. No. In which case, thank you for everyone for joining today's call. Appreciate all of the input and conversation. And